Hello, and welcome to the Knit Shift episode 4. My name is Laura, and today is Friday, April 10th, 2015. Show notes can be found at theknitshift.com. As of last week, this podcast is on iTunes. High five. Figured it out. Awesome. What else? Oh, I'm on Instagram, Laura Mahalski, and I'm on Ravelry as Yarnstormer. We have a Ravelry group now. It's pretty quiet, but it just got started. It's called the Knit Shift, so check it out. We are already at like 45 members this morning, which is crazy to me. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway when we reach 100, so stay tuned for that. I haven't decided what it'll be yet. Probably a giveaway of the yarn variety. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Now that I've figured out some technical stuff and I've started the Rav group, I kind of want to think more about what I want to do with this podcast and what I'd like to talk about. So if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, let me know in Ravelry or shoot me a note on the blog, whatever. Coming up in about 3 weeks, gosh, is it only 3 weeks, is Maryland Sheep and Wool, which I am so excited about. I am going and meeting up with some friends and house sitting for another friend who will be out of town, which will be fun. I promise we won't throw any wild parties if you're watching. What else? Oh, so I want to do a Maryland Sheep and Wool themed episode before then. So either next week or the week after will be all about sheep and wool. I think I'll talk about my recommendations of booths I really like. I'll talk about what I plan to buy, and I will probably give you some tips if you've never been to either Maryland Sheep and Wool or any festival. Just some things to keep in mind that'll make your day more enjoyable. So keep an eye out for that next week or the week after. I kind of have to decide which one I want, which will be all about the sheep and wool. It'll be a really jam-packed episode full of interesting stuff, I hope. I'm thinking about doing a knit along, but I'm bad about keeping up with knit alongs myself. I really commend those of you who do, but I'm really bad at it, so I will just put that on the back burner for now. And I think if I do have a knit along, it'll be something really low key, like knit something that makes you happy. Yay! That's about the extent of my knit along plans right now. So that's it for podcasty stuff. It's been a pretty low-key week. My parents were in town last week for Easter, and we had a really nice visit. Really, really wonderful time. And they left Monday morning, so it's been back to business, back to work, all that good stuff. And if you're new here, this is called the Knit Shift because I work second shift. Basically, I work until midnight in a newsroom, and I tend to stay up late. Pardon me. I tend to stay up late knitting, and later than I should. So hence the Knit Shift. So this week I did not stay up as late as normal. I was really feeling kind of tired. I think because when my parents were in town, I shifted to their schedule. We had some early starts to the day. Like I went out to the beach with them and brought them donuts and was out the door by 6:30 in the morning, which, if you work until midnight, that's kind of crazy. So I was in bed by 10 or 10:30 all weekend while they were here. So when I got home from work at midnight, I was just like, nope, going to bed, basically. So, but I had what I'm calling a knitting blind date, I guess. I had that this week. It was yesterday, actually, and I had a really good time. I have a coworker whose wife is a knitter, and my coworker and I had been, he had asked me for advice on what to get her for Christmas, and I probably scared him with all of my ideas, because I was really excited about it. And, I had told him, have your wife friend me, have her friend me on Facebook, and it never happened, which was fine. They've got 2 little kids and she's busy. And then, so finally, like 2 weeks ago, I just said, you know what, I'm gonna friend her. I'm gonna send her a friend request. And it was so silly because it's Facebook. It's felt like, do you want to be my friend? Circle yes or no. I was putting too much worry into it, as I tend to do about things. So I sent her a friend request, and she accepted, and we spent like the next day messaging back and forth about knitting and just what we like to make, and it was really fun. And so she wants to learn to knit 2 at a time socks. She has already knit socks for their kids, and she knows how to magic loop, so she barely needs my help. I'm just there for moral support, I think. So I went over to their house yesterday, and I had a really wonderful time, and she made a really lovely little lunch, and we just hung out for a few hours and just had a really good time. I feel like we hit it off. So I don't know if you're watching, but thanks, Bethany. That was a really fun time. So that was exciting to meet a new knitter friend. But that's really been about it for my week, so we might as well move straight into the knitting stuff. I have no finished objects this week, unfortunately. I thought I might, but I tend to overestimate. I tend to be more hopeful than, reality. So, still knitting away on this baby sweater. It is the Sweet Baby Sweater by Carolyn Weems. Last week I was probably like here where my pinkies are on the body. I have knit 1 sleeve, which is great. Baby sleeves tend to go quick. And I have started the 2nd sleeve. So I would love to finish the 2nd sleeve today. And then all it is a matter of putting a little button band on the pullover part and putting on buttons, and then it's done, apart from weaving in the ends, washing, blocking, blah, blah, blah. So I'm knitting this out of Opal sock yarn. This is Opal Neon, that is the top, and the bottom, the tan, is Knit Pick Stroll in buckskin, and the top used maybe 100 yards, maybe 150. I could still probably knit a small adult pair of socks out of what was left. And I have used, Stroll comes in 220 skein, 220 yard balls of yarn. So you need 2 for an adult pair of socks. So I have used just about 1 entire ball of Stroll and have moved on to the 2nd. So like 200-ish here. So I don't know, it's probably less than 400 yards, this whole project, when it's all said and done. I really like how this is turning out. The colors are kind of random. They're kind of not something I would have normally thought to put together, but I hope it's not. I feel like once it's all done, I think the crazy part of the yarn will not be too crazy. That's my hope. And this is probably knit to like a 4 to 6 month size, which was the goal for this baby, who will, trying to time the sweater to the baby's age. So I'm chugging away on this. I'm using size 3 needles, 3.25 millimeters. I haven't been good about talking about my needles that I use, but I'm using my Chiagao. Look, I always want to just say Chiagoo, but I know that's not it. Chiagao red lace needles. I really love these because I like the points. They're really nice and sharp. And I really like the cable. It's a really nice bendy cable. It does not hold it does not get stuck in a position. I don't know that I've ever had a problem with the join, knock wood. The joins are really good and smooth, so these are my go-to sock needles. Anything small, I really love my Chiagaos. So I'm working on that, and I also I'm still plugging away at my socks. I knit on these a little bit yesterday while I was visiting my new knitting friend. I am knitting these out of Manos Allegria, which is, I think, an 80-20, 75-25 merino nylon blend. This is a really, really nice sock yarn. I don't know what base it is, but I don't recognize it as a base of a lot of other dyers. It's a really, really soft base, and the stitch definition is really good. I don't think I've had it split on me at all. And this colorway is Colibri. My mom gave this to me. This was a gift from her from a yarn store in Pittsburgh, and I really love it. It's dark purples and lilac and a little bit of, no, I don't think there's any white really. and navy, not even navy blue, just a nice deep blue and a sky blue. And I'm getting some interesting, on this side, I'm really enjoying these little blips of purple that are almost like stair-stepping up here. So I'm enjoying how these are knitting up. Very excited about it. I'm knitting these on size 1.5, also Chigu needles, my old standby. So yeah, those are the only two things I've been working on this week. I had mentioned last week that I had hoped to start a cowl for a knit along on Instagram. I only got as far as buying the pattern, but the pattern is now sitting here next to the yarn, and theoretically I will cast that on after I'm done filming today. So hopefully I'll have something new to show you next week. That is it for my knitting. So I'll tell you about the knit along that this cowl is for. It's the diluted cowl. It's a really lovely pattern. It looks very simple, and I'll show you a picture of it here. So it's this really lovely kind of open, it's not lace, you can use many different weights of yarn. It's quite flexible, the pattern. And I have some lovely gradient wool, Texas dyed wool. In fact, I can show you that since it's sitting right here. This lovely gradient, it's kind of a pale orange on the outside, and then white, and then gray. And I think I'm supposed to start with the gray, actually, and then the orange will be closer to my face. And so some people have knit gradients out of it. This is Texas dyed wool, in the colorway Orange Can Be Neutral. It's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, fingering weight approximately 420 yards. So I've got everything I need right here. I just need to actually cast on the darn thing. Sorry, I'm adjusting. I'm sitting cross-legged on my couch, and I have my coffee table pushed up to the table, and I have very little leg room, and I had to uncross my legs. And I also have my podcast buddy, Gracie, sleeping next to me, as is her tendency to sit right next to me and be up in my space. So the diluted cowl is by Karen McCall, and there is a hashtag on Instagram, hashtag diluted cowl, KAL, for diluted cowl knit along. So check it out. There's some people who have finished. I am perpetually late to knit along, so mine will be there eventually. So on to stash enhancement. I wasn't expecting to have anything, but I forgot that I have a 6-month subscription to Jill Draper Esopus sock yarn, and so this is month 4, and it always comes around the 1st of the month, so it came this week. In fact, I had a big ordeal. I don't know if I have a new mailman or mail lady or what, but there were some problems going on with package delivery. It kept saying, like, for 3 days it was undeliverable as addressed, and it was a big ordeal, and I had to go to the post office 2 times, and I was a pain in their necks. But long story short, I got my packages. So I really love this yarn. I've loved every color I've received. I've knit up one of them already, but I have not knit up the other, 3 obviously. I haven't knit up this one, it just arrived. So this is Jill Draper Makes Stuff Esopus sock yarn in the colorway Clear Skies. It is 500 yards of merino. So you could make socks out of it. It's a really lovely tight twist yarn. I don't know if you can see just how nice the twist is on this. You could probably make socks out of it, but I really think it's probably better suited for a shawl. And it's a lovely sky blue, as you might expect for something called Clear Skies, but there's these little blips of green up at the top, and I haven't seen if it's anywhere else in the yarn because I haven't really, opened the skein up entirely. So I'm really loving the subscription. I'm not normally someone who enjoys having someone else pick out yarn for me because I tend to be particular But I also think I'm learning to be more flexible and keep my mind open to what I might want to knit with, because you might just be surprised and really like it. But I am loving everything that I've received so far. So that is it for stash enhancement. Oh, and I didn't even use the right term for my segment. See, I'm all out of sorts today. I don't know what is going on. I like to call my stash enhancement segment yarms, because that's the word I use around my house when I get a package in the mail. I say to my boyfriend, "Hey, I got some yarms today." It's stupid, but it's my word. So that's it for yarms today. Boy, this podcast is going quickly. I don't know if I'm talking too quickly or I'm just very efficient or what. So on to the segment I like to call Yay, which is about fun stuff that's going on in my life and fun stuff I want to share with you. This week I have booked a trip to Pittsburgh to see my family at the end of the month. I'm very excited about that. Every end of May we do a family reunion. My grandma is one of 6. She's still alive, by the way. She's 92 going on 93 and is probably the nicest woman I have ever met or will ever meet in my life. She's just such a sweetheart. My grandma's one of 6 and has only one of her siblings left alive. And their last name is McCarthy, so it's a McCarthy family reunion. Or that was my grandma's name before she was married. So my grandma had 10 children, one of them being my mom. My grandma's brother Tim had 6 children, I think. I'm probably going to get that wrong. My grandma's brother Joe had 10 kids. Helen and Joe had 10 kids. My Aunt Peg had 5 or 6 or 7. I'm sorry, I don't know. And my Uncle Jack had 3 kids. So there's a lot of... My mom has a ton of cousins because she has so many. Her aunts and uncles had so many kids. I have about 21 first cousins because, my mom is one of 10. And, so I have about 19 or 20 cousins. And then some of my cousins have started having kids. So so my mom is a great aunt. So anyway, I have a really big family. That's the point of me telling you this. So every Memorial Day weekend since I've been little, we go to this park in north of Pittsburgh and have a pavilion and grill out and catch up. I've been going there as long as I can remember. So I don't go every year now that I live far away. In fact, it's been definitely 2 years, possibly 3 since I've gone. But I kind of decided, spur of the moment, after my parents were here last weekend, I thought I'll look at the calendar, the vacation requests at work, and if I can go, great. If there's room on the calendar, I'll take that time. And if there isn't, so be it. I kind of left it to fate. Well, I was able to get the time off, as was my boyfriend. So yeah, we're going. And I'm sorry, I just realized I have the ceiling fan on, and it's kind of making a little strobe light behind me, so I'm gonna adjust the camera a little. So apologies if that was distracting. So I have that planned, and a couple weeks ago, I don't think I mentioned this, I'll be going back to Pennsylvania in December. My younger brother, who turned 30 this week, happy birthday, Josh, he is getting his master's degree and wants to walk in the graduation. He's been doing it through Penn State's World Campus. So he graduates in December, and he decided he wanted to walk. And I'm very proud of him for many, many, many reasons. But I love that he got his degree through Penn State World Campus because I went to Penn State myself. He got his undergraduate degree at Ohio State, but I won't hold that against him. Sorry, Josh. So we made plans a couple weeks ago. My parents are going to come, and my brother and my sister-in-law are going to go, of course, and my boyfriend Josh and I are going to go. And by the way, my brother's name is Josh, and my boyfriend is named Josh, so apologies if it's a little confusing when I refer to Josh's. I try and be clear in the context of who I'm talking about. Well, Gracie has decided to grace us with her presence. She is doing what we like to call the smush face, where she wakes up and she kind of has a smush face going on. Well, she's laid her head back down. She's still recovering from my parents' visit last week. She loves having people make a fuss over her, and her grandparents, as they are, love to make a fuss over her. So it worked out great, but she slept for like 3 days basically after they left because it was so exciting having them here and making a fuss over them and licking my dad's face and his mustache and all that kind of stuff. So she's still recuperating. So anyway, 2 fun trips coming up and of course Maryland Sheep and Wool is coming up as well. So in terms of other fun stuff, I'm planning to join in on the Stitch Addiction podcast's May knit along for a shawl. I think it's kind of open-ended, or at least details are slim right now, but Kate over at Stitch Addiction is hosting a May shawl knit along. So I might use this pretty blue. We'll see. I haven't given it much thought. As I've made clear abundantly, I'm really bad about joining in on knit alongs. So we'll see if I even finish this cowl, before May. So that's going on if you want to check it out on Kate's Ravelry group, The Stitch Addiction. And I have a few fun knitting patterns to share with you. I was browsing Ravelry today and saw this, and it captured my attention. I don't even know when this came out, so forgive me if it is out of date. I'm going to stop and take a sip of water here. Okay, let me pull it up here. Let me see if I can find the release date. This is perfect timing to talk about it too, because this TV show comes back on Sunday. Yeah, see, this is a year old, but I'm always behind the times, so maybe you don't know about it either. There is a Game of Thrones collection on Ravelry. I'm sure that this is by Laura Smoot. I'm guessing there are lots of people who are inspired to create patterns because of Game of Thrones. It just, the whole environment kind of begs for knitwear, don't you think? I have not read the books. I don't plan to read the books, but I do watch the TV show on HBO. But I saw this beautiful pattern, and I had to mention it to you. This is called Tyrion's Gift, and let me pull up the photos here. And so Tyrion, this is meant to be a shawl. Oh, where did that still record? I think my computer came unplugged. Sorry. So it's called Tyrion's Gift, and I won't get into the meaning behind it all, but it is a lovely, lovely shawl. And I'm kind of wishing this, it's a little hard to see in the designer's pattern photos. Well, maybe hopefully it'll show up okay. Oh, my darn lamp is reflecting. I hope you can see that okay. I think it's a little bit obscured in the yarn she chose, but it's a really beautiful kind of triangular, it reminds me of gulls in a way. It's a really pretty triangular lace shawl. So that's one of the patterns. There are 5 patterns in the collection. I think it's 4 shawls and a pair of mitts. So there's also one called Mother of Dragons, which, if you watch the show, that's not a huge surprise that there is something called Mother of Dragons. And it's meant to look like a dragon's wing. I'm going to see. I might move my lamp and see if that'll help avoid. Sorry, I might have to stop and pause this. Plug my computer back in. Amateur hour over here. I'm sorry. Okay. Here is Mother of Dragons. Isn't that beautiful? It really does look like a dragon wing, if you ask me. I love the pointy edging. I love the way that it's multiple panels. I love that it's not just mirrored either. Oops. I'll find a photo where she's modeling it as well. I just think that's really lovely. And there are 2 other shawl patterns. I won't show you them. One is called The Night's Watch, and the other is called Arya's Needle. And Arya is a young girl on the show, and Needle is the name of her sword. And you can it's lace to put needle in the shawl, which is pretty awesome. What the heck? I'll show you. Let me pull it up. Okay. And Arya's needle appears to be customizable, in which you can change out different panels if you want to have one needle, or if you want to have needle in all 3 panels, or if you want to just do lace in all 3 panels, whatever you want. So there's the shawl, and you can see the needle pattern, the sword in the middle. So it's just really neat. And I believe the collection, if you want all 5 patterns, it's $19.95. But I believe individual patterns are $6. So there's that. And 2 weeks ago I had talked about how The Walking Dead season finale was coming up. And then last week I didn't talk about it. So I don't know who of you are Walking Dead fans, but I don't know how you felt about the episode, but I loved it. I'm a very anxious viewer of The Walking Dead. I used to not be able to watch it at night when I work until midnight Sundays, and then I come home and I couldn't watch it that night because I couldn't sleep. I think I'm beyond that now, but I still get so stressed out when it's on. I won't get into the details, but I thought multiple characters were going to die. I'd prepared myself. I had said that I was very worried about Daryl Dixon, one of the main characters in the show. And sure enough, they put him in a situation that I thought, oh my goodness, he is not long for this world. But he got out. Sorry, I'll spoil that one bit. He's okay. So it was a fantastic season finale, and now we have to wait until October, I think, for it to come back, which is way too long. So, but also Mad Men is back, if you're into that show, and I thought the season premiere, or the mid-season premiere, was pretty fantastic. So, good TV on right now. One show ends, another begins. It's the circle of life. So, and one final thing. I'm wearing a lipstick of the week. I had mentioned in one of the early episodes that I am not super into makeup, but I do love me some lipstick. So today I am wearing a L'Oreal Glossy Stain. This is meant to be a duplicate of YSL's Glossy Stain. This costs about $8 a tube. YSL is $30-some a tube. And I own some YSL. It's a very rare treat that I bought. I got it years ago, my first tube of it. And I probably buy 1 tube a year as a really nice treat for myself. But why spend $30-some when you can spend $8 or $9 at the drugstore? So this color is called Infinite Fuchsia. And it is a very bright fuchsia. They are not kidding. I hope the color shows up okay. But I'm wearing it now. And it looks really pink in the tube, but then once it's on, as long as I don't over apply it, I think it works okay. So, that is my lipstick of the week. And I think that's it for today's episode. That went by quick, this half hour. So, so just as a recap, I will be doing a Maryland Sheep and Wool themed episode in the next few weeks. Either next week or the week after. And I am planning a giveaway when our Ravelry group reaches 100 members. And it's almost halfway there, so maybe it'll happen in the next week or two. So I will have the prize picked out by next week. This I assure you. So, I think that's it for today. So if you're still watching, thanks for sticking through this half hour with me. Thanks for hanging out. And hope to see you again next week. And happy knitting. Have a great week wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon.